Right, I think we're good to go then. Thanks, Imran, for logging on. Thank you very much. I'll try and make this as specific as I possibly can for you and your sport of netball. But I will make it a little bit more general just because, like I said, people are going to be able to watch this again when I record it. But, welcome. Thank you very much for logging on tonight. Really appreciate that. And sort of hopefully aiming to collect sort of knowledge on how to collect practical evidence for your A-level PE. Let me just get going through this. Right, so objectives are, okay, we're going to understand what evidence that you need to collect for your activity. So it's evidence that you've got to collect for your practical activity for A-level PE. And then sort of try and get an idea and our heads around the strict rules set out by the exam board, because they are quite stringent really and quite comprehensive. I'm going to give you a task to complete as well as a bit of a homework task, which I think I spoke to you as well throughout this session. All right, so benefits of and sort of rules of a webinar, just so we're absolutely 100% sure we're okay with this. It's recorded, so when you forget what we've discussed, we can always revisit it. You can use a chat option like you've been doing before to ask a question whenever you like, and I get a little notification so I can then respond to your question. Please feel free to to ask any questions. They may seem really simple, really obvious. Don't be embarrassed. Please ask away. It's important that you understand completely what's being asked of you on this course. And lastly, please ensure your microphone and webcam are disabled during the webinar, just so I don't get distracted by anything whilst I'm talking away through this at a rate of knots. Okay. So let's get going then. So overview of practical evidence. All right, it's 15% of your final A-level mark, so it is really, really, really important. Okay, so 15% of your final A-level mark. You're going to get assessed on your performance in a fully competitive situation over one full length of a game or of performance. All right, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about how you're going to do that. And the main bit is that you need to submit this recording of this practical activity to me or Mr. Bradley, all right, submitted in the form of a CD, a disc, or on a hard drive. An external hard drive is quite a popular one at the moment. You've got to make sure that you submit that to me or Mr. Bradley. And finally, it's your responsibility to do this correctly. We've tried in the past to help out with assessing. The exam board changed everything to say that you have to have it recorded. Right, and we're a small centre. There's only 7 of us in year 12 doing A-level PE, so it's going to have to be recorded for the examiner to come in and have a look at your performance on that. So it's up to you to make sure you've done that yourself. Okay, so there's a few things to consider in order for you to be able to do that recording. Okay, we're going to try fast forward in time, right? So we're going to fast forward in time to May of year 13 of A-level PE. All right, so in over a year and a half's time. These are the things that you're going to really, really need to consider. Okay. Your practical mark will be decided by the visiting moderator who will visit Knights Templar School, like I said, in May of your year 13 studies. All right. So he doesn't know you and will base your practical mark on what they see on the day and what you actually do. So what they can see in your video recording. Doesn't matter how well the PE department, me, Mr. Bradley, or Miss Henderson, or Miss Curtis know you and your abilities in your sport of netball, hockey, or whatever it may be. What they see on that recording is what mark they will give you. Okay, so what mark they see on that recording is what they will give you. I might repeat that a few times. I make no apologies for that. Okay, one of the most challenging things, I think, who will actually record you doing your performance? Yeah, are they reliable? Can they concentrate? Are they sensible? Right? It's really, really, really important that when your recording is taking place, we get a clear picture of you doing your performance. It's close enough. There's no one in the way of the performance. The person doing the recording isn't going to sort of fall asleep and miss you running down the part of the court or anything like that. Because if you do something brilliant and it's off camera, the moderator is not going to be able to guess, oh, that must have been a really good pass because now it's with the goal shooter or something like that. They're only going to be able to see what they can see on the actual video then, so that's what they're marking. Right, what if you don't have a good video camera? All right, good point. There's a few things. We've got iPads in the PE department. You're more than welcome to borrow those and use those. The school have got some really, really good video cameras and tripods. The drama team are really good at lending that stuff out. So if you go to see them, you're absolutely fine with that. However, if you've got your own thing, that's absolutely fine. Mobile phones are really good this time, but they're not recommended because sometimes the quality aren't as good. And for someone to hold an iPad or a mobile phone up in the air for, the length of the game is really, really difficult. Okay, so I recommend if you can borrow a tripod and a video camera from the tech team or drama team, they're really good. Now, I don't know if you know Miss Bullock, who was in the media department and the drama team. She's left now, but she's being replaced. And I've got to be honest, her replacement, I've not met yet. I don't know how good they are. I don't know how much time her replacement is going to have to help us with that, with any training that you might need on using the camera or putting the media package together. Not too sure of that, but I think that's a bridge, we're going to have to cross when we come to it, really. All right. But we really need to be aware of sort of what issues or experience you might have in the sort of media side, which might affect your practical recording, as I'll talk about some of the things that you might want to do. Okay. If you're a games player, unlucky, it's really, really hard. There's more criteria to evidence. The size of the playing area is sometimes a bit of an issue, because if you're recording on one side of the court or pitch, but you do something brilliant, it might just happen to be on the other side of the pitch. There might be players in the way the distance between the camera and yourself might be an issue in itself. If you're not sure on the sport, if you're not 100% sure on the sport, I'd pick the easiest one to record. For example, boxing is easier because it's in a ring. There's nothing in the way. It should be easy to record. Dance is really easy to record as well, just in an environment, and it's a shorter performance. But I think for yours, Simran, you're down as netball and you've joined a club outside of school, and I think that seems like it's going to be a really suitable option for you. Okay. Like I said, Simran, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use that chat option. Otherwise, I will be just prattling on for probably the next 25 minutes or so. Okay. Right, so this is what you've got to do by the end of year level PE. This is what you've got to produce. Okay, you've got to have recorded and labelled, I've put that in brackets, 10 full performances. So what I mean by labelled in inverted commas is you need to identify on the video who you are. My name is Mr. Smith and my candidate number is, and a few other stuff which I'll come back to. Now, the camera must, because it's a full competitive performance, it must keep rolling at all times. It can stop for half times or quarters or that sort of thing, but as soon as you are back on the court and the referee or umpire blows a whistle to start the game, that camera has to be rolling again. All right. It does ask for a competitive performance. All right. For people who do dance, it must be a crowd of at least 10 people. All right. For games players and things like that, there must be judges, qualified officials in the sport that you're actually doing in order to show that, it's a good standard. Like I said, dancers are really, really lucky. His performances are not as long as netball, rugby, hockey, and that sort of thing. And if your dance group want to watch you in a, again, lunchtime competition, in inverted, quoting that one in sort of inverted commas of that, is that still an acceptable competition? Not too sure. Possibly get away with that one. Games people, what is an acceptable, competitive performance? I'd probably say it's a school match or a club match that you're going to get recorded. Okay. Once you've recorded those 10 full performances, you're then going to review them and you're going to try and select then the best two halves of your performance. All right. So if you do 10 performances, you're going to try and look at those, review them, and decide which are my two best. Where have I played, the best game of netball in the two halves? So they can come from two different matches, all right? But you pick the best two halves to then make up one full half or one full performance, okay? Not sure if you might want to answer this question, Simran, but on netball, I believe, depending on the different standards, sometimes you play halves, sometimes you play thirds. I might be wrong on that. Netball knowledge is not fantastic. If that's the case, I believe then you're obviously going to pick from one match, you'd pick 2/3, and then from another match, one final third on that one. If it's, again, basketball and things that have got quarters, 2 quarters will come from one match, the other 2 quarters from another match. Okay. The deadline. Okay, deadline for this is February of half term of year 13. So you've got a year and a half to get your review your 10 full performances, and then make sure you're happy with the 2 selected halves, yeah, that you have picked for your chosen sport. Okay. And in a nutshell, I don't know, that doesn't sound too difficult. If you've got someone who can video your performance and you can record that, that doesn't sound, that hard to do in a year and a half, I think. But it's not that easy. There are some really, really difficult things. So these are some of the things that we've got to do. Number one, you've got to identify yourself really, really, really clearly. All right. Label on the rate on top. So you might have, if you're really good with your media part, you might have, when the video starts, you might have a little scrolling set of words coming down saying who you are, the candidate number, what course you're doing, centre number, the fact that you are wearing a bib with a number on, or a bib saying goalkeeper or GK on it, or any unique clothing. Just because, again, that moderator who comes in, he's never even going to meet you. He's not going to speak to you on the day. He's just going to be seeing you for the first time on that video performance that you've handed in. Okay. Next, and touched on this earlier, camera angle. Okay. Only follow the candidate. And this is where you've got to have someone who can, you can really trust to do the videoing. You won't be able to ask your netball coach. They'll be too busy shouting instructions on, or your teacher. They're going to be too busy doing things. And you need to get somebody with you who's going to be able to, concentrate and follow you and do almost like a player cam at all times. Again, this is quite difficult in game situation, because sometimes you might want to see where the ball's coming from, and if you're focusing on just the player, you might not be able to actually see the ball. So sometimes having someone who can zoom in and zoom out to get everything at the right time is really, really difficult. Like, for example, you might be a goal attack, the ball might be down the other end of the field, and you're trying to lose your opponent. So we want to be able to see the ball maybe coming down the court, but still at the same time see your excellent footwork and ability to dodge and sort of change direction quickly to lose your marker. Really difficult for some people to do. Edited video is not allowed, so it must be an unedited full half. All right, stop for half time, absolutely fine, and then resume recording in the second half. Okay. Anybody who's watching this later on who is a dancer, it needs to be 2 separate performances. That is individual or a group, that is about 2 to 3 minutes long. Remember, it's got to be in a competitive situation, and gymnastics is 2 separate disciplines. Okay. Right. So, apologies. This was me testing something earlier on, so I'll just pause that. There we go. Apologies about that. Right. So, let's just go back one scroll there. So we're going to try and watch a little bit of video footage. I don't want you to worry too much about this, but I'm just going to see if I can show you something that we get on an online standardization. If it works, it's a little bit temperamental with my computer, I must admit. I'm just going to scroll through this. I'm just going to show you a couple of things which I think sort of highlights what is really good and what's not so good. Okay. Right, so first one, I just want to show this one. This is a football one. So I'm just going to play this through, and I might just talk over that. And again, if you've got any questions, we can do that. So this candidate on this one has put like a front screen in. All right, we've put candidate. Normally would have your full name in, but they haven't done that for this one. They've also said for this one, he's a specific position, red team, and right midfield. So I identified the team, and this candidate is wearing a blue bib, and he said that's highlighted on the screen. So just by that square there, that's the first time I've been able to actually see the guy with the blue bib. My eyes are getting dodgy. We don't know how blind the moderator is going to be. So that was quite a nice touch there where that was highlighted there. Now, the guy we know is playing right midfield. All right, so you can see he's on the far side of the pitch. And for me, yeah, I can see him. I can see the ball, but it's very difficult to look at his technique. All right, and so as a moderator, there we go, 2 players in his way as he controls that ball. Really difficult to see if his technique's any good. For me, pretending to be a moderator, thinking about what his technique is, it's really, really, really difficult to do that. Now, this performance, this carries on for 20 minutes, 16 minutes, sorry, we're not going to watch that. And it doesn't really zoom in more than it is now. Okay, it doesn't really zoom in more than it is now. So I'm just going to leave that for the minute, this one. Okay, and we're going to look at one that I think is a slightly better example. Okay, maybe quite a bit better. Where are we? It's number 4, I think. All right, and this is good for you, Max. This is netball, and again, just the demands of the sport. I think it highlights the fact that actually, it's easier to video netball than it is to video football on a bigger pitch. So we've got our candidate is highlighted in the middle as playing centre. And again, it's a lot easier to see her down sort of the attacking third. You can really see her doing everything she needs to do to get free from her opponent. You can see her technique, whether it's good or bad. You could maybe argue in a minute the ball's going to go down the other end. You could maybe argue that, that's still quite a long distance away and it's difficult to see. But I think the reason why this camera angle is placed in this corner is because if stood at the side of the pitch, because there's a wall and a fence around it, around the pitch, it's going to be difficult to see all the play and possibly keep up with the action of the ball. Right, so I think that's possibly slightly better. And again, that's an example of one which I think is slightly better, but still not perfect. Okay, right, just going to go back to this one. Let's pause that one again. Apologies. All right, let's see if I've got any questions here, which I do. So do you have to get each video done by a certain date? Right, so do you have to get a video done by a certain date? So the deadline for you to get all these videos done, every single one, or 10, is the end of the course, sort of in when you're in year 13, Simran. Okay, so the end of the course, which is February half term, I think I said. Can you pause the game before they do the skill so it's easier for the examiner? Good question. Right, so what will happen is, so pausing the skill, so you will do your recording, all right, of a full game. It's not any drills or anything like that. It's got to be a full game, and the examiner will pause and move the video on as they see fit. They might go back and sort of review one of the sections over and over and over again to make sure they've seen everything that they need to see. All right, so they will pause it. You won't even be in the room with them at the time. It'll probably be me or Mr. Bradley. All right, you will fill out a form called a commentary form, which will try and sort of pinpoint your best bits on your performance. All right, so you might try to direct the moderator to a specific time on your recording, which might be 40 minutes long, to make his job a little bit easier, but also to get him to see the best bit about your performance, right? Which I think is a good thing then, because that could potentially positively affect your marks. Okay. If I've not answered that question, please ask it again. And I'm just going to sort of carry on a little bit. Okay. So, rules and top tips sort of continued a little bit. So use specific activity-specific criteria. So use specific activity-specific criteria. This is on pages 32 and 72 as specification. Okay. So, for example, dance. This is a specific assessment activity criteria. So I'm saying before you do dance, right, if you're a dancer, you want to have a look at making sure that your videos, your 2 halves of performance that you're going to do, are going to hopefully, get something that's going to be going from area of assessment 1, and it's going to be showing control, coordination, all those sort of things. And then if possible, some of the advanced skills. Okay. The videos, the 2 video performances will also see area assessment 2, see above, and I'll just go into that in a bit more detail when I show up the next thing, and area assessment 3, maybe some form of choreography. So look at the size of that for dance. Next one, hockey, twice as big, brilliant. Games players hate it. All right. So again, netball. Sorry, I haven't got one up for you for netball, Simran, but we can access that and we can have a little look. So it's almost like, right, when I'm playing hockey, I need to have in my mind that I need to be trying to show passing, use an open stick, push, hits, drive and flick, that type of thing. So I've got in my head some of the things that I'm going to do. This is also really good, obviously, if you make your 10 performances, chances are that in all 10 performances, you're not going to show everything off the criteria that you need to show. So that's why you're going to review it and make sure that the two halves of performances will then show everything that you need to show on your actual, your two recordings, if that makes sense. Okay. So any questions on that, please feel free to ask, because that is a bit of a tough one. Okay, now the next bit that you've got to do is you've got to produce a commentary form, all right, and you must submit this with your recording. If you don't do that, examiner will give you 0, okay? So remember, on the form, you're trying to direct the moderator to all your best bits of evidence, and this takes you a hell of a long time, especially if you're a games player, right? You're going to have to not only watch your, once you've reviewed your two and decided what your two best halves are, you're then going to have to pause it and say, right, on that, for example, let's have a look at this commentary form. Right, I'm going to pause it at 45 seconds. I did something from area of assessment 1. What I did was I received a ball and passed it, or one of the two, and a brief commentary, played a successful 1-2. All right, pause, start your video again, off you go again. So you've then got to go through and you've got to try and be as really thorough as you can. Really, really thorough with your commentary form. Again, if you miss something out, the moderator, we don't know how thorough the moderator is going to be. He might whiz through your video and miss loads of things. All right, you'd like to think that they're not going to do, but he has got to he's got to review 7 videos at least when he comes in to Knights Templar School, because that's how many candidates we're going to be having. Okay, so you want to make sure you're directing to all your best bit. And this is quite nice, really, to as a review, really, to see if you've actually got evidence from different areas of assessment. Excuse me. So just going back a little bit where we said there's 2 areas of assessment. Area of assessment 1 is mainly to do with attacking. Area of assessment 2 is mainly to do with defensive sort of elements of the game. Okay. And area 3 is more to do with tactics and that sort of thing. So you can see at 17 minutes 30 seconds, area assessment 3, in the role, he offered a pass, but it wasn't taken. But that awareness of where to go and offering the pass is something which is really, really good. Excuse me. Okay, so this is we've kind of gone over all the main things, but this is what we're trying to, get you to do. So just have a little read of the homework activity, please. Right, so we did a webinar earlier before the summer, and we set a homework activity over the summer. So I'd like you to try and do the same thing if you're watching this. So first thing you got to do, be very thorough with A-level PE. There's a lot of stuff we're asking you to do. And again, it's hopefully going to get you a really good chunk of 15% of your mark, make your exam a little bit easier. So number 1, you're going to print out your practical activity specification and read it really, really carefully. Look at what sort of things you're going to have to evidence when you're playing your netball game, when you're making your dance performance, okay? Once you've read it, read it again. Make sure you've not missed anything, all right? I think it's a really good idea if you're watching this on your own, but make sure your parents and whoever's recording your performance has also read that criteria. It will just make them be on the ball a little bit more. You might want to bring that in your sort of your sports bag with you just to whip out and give to whoever's recording it, because you might be using different people's. Okay, so what I'd like you to do between now and sort of the near future, really, in the next month, if possible, if you've got a netball match coming up, is film at least film one performance. All right, so a full performance of your netball game, your next netball one, and I'd like you to write one commentary for at least the first half, or at least one half, okay? If you think you've played really, really, really well and you're really happy with your performance and it actually covers a lot of the areas of assessment, go to town, review both of it, see how you do, and we can have a look at that. It might be by chance that your best performance over the year and a half is your first one. Possibly isn't, because hopefully you're going to make a bit of progress throughout your seasons, but that could be. All right. I said the deadline for this is submitted as soon as possible. Like I said, this is your responsibility. The sooner you get this into me, The sooner I can review it and say, oh, that bit was really good, or that bit wasn't so good, I didn't have a clue what you were doing there, your angles are wrong, or something like that, and we can then sort of spot any mistakes that you might be making. Okay, I'm asking for recordings to be submitted on a memory stick or a disk so that I can access that, and a hard copy of your commentary. All right, so year 13 student who'd already done this a little bit in year 12 came to me with his memory stick and a recording in a little plastic envelope. Really easy for me to do. Bearing in mind I've got probably nearly 15 of these to do. It's going to make my life a lot easier, and that's why email is not going to be accepted for this bit. Okay. And that's it for the webinar, really. So any sort of questions and discussions from yourself. So if you have any questions, yeah, I'd like you to, if possible, ask them to me now, please, Simran, if you can. If you're happy with everything I've said, can you just make a little comment on the chat bar to say, yep, happy with that, all done and dusted, see you later. That'll be good. If you're watching this on YouTube and it's been uploaded, there is a review section where you can then put questions in the bottom. If you ask some questions in that, I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. If I don't get back to you quickly and you're one of my students, please feel free to pop in at the PE office. You know where I am at all times. Okay. Oh, lovely. She's happy with that and understands absolutely everything. I'll hold you to that one, Simran. All right, so there'll be no problems. If there is, though, please feel free just to pop in and clarify anything. Okay, right. If that's the case, then it's been lovely spending a good 30-40 minutes with you, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. That was useful. Cheers, Simran. Okay, take care then.